Good morning and afternoon, art students. We're starting an important drawing today. We're going to go through basically all the art techniques and basically how you put together a realistic looking drawing. We're drawing leaves because they're so different than each other, so there's a lot of grace involved. If the curls on this leaf right here aren't exactly the same, it's still going to look like a leaf. And that's why you might think, oh no, it's hard. But the thing is, I want you to take the worry off it. If you're close, it's going to look like a leaf. So a little bit of stress off because of what we've chosen to draw today. In the past, my students would draw from shells, and it's the same thing. Each shell's a little different. So if you're close, if it's a nice looking drawing, you should be okay. So some of the things you need today, you need at least 3 leaves. You don't need all 6. I just put this here as a pile to remind you, and you may want a couple extra leaves so you can decide how you're going to put them together in a composition. I would probably always have both erasers unless you strongly prefer one over the other, and then you don't have to use the other one anymore. You might want your pencil guard. I would say your 2H and your 2B pencils. That's pretty much what I always use. However, if you really loved one of the other pencils, bring it in. Definitely you can use it from now on. You don't have to ask my permission. I'll be really specific if I only want one pencil used. And then you can use your blend. Remember, this is a beginner's tool, but you're a beginner, so you can use this. You need 2 pieces of the white sulfite. It's called, that's just the name of whatever it is you put together to make this paper. It's 9 by 12. There's a few of them in your packet, but we need 2 separate sheets. I would like you to use this instead of just copy paper because it has a nice surface to it and it's a more finished looking drawing. I would pull out your 2 sheets from the pencil techniques so you have them here for a reference. So what we're going to be using these techniques today, we don't have to use all 6. So let me repeat this. You don't have to use all 6. You just need to use the ones you need to use. And we're going to combine them together. There's usually a sequence. Usually your lights and darks are first. Usually things that build up textures while you're building up your lights and darks are kind of second. So scumble and hatching are kind of your second level. Then towards the end of your drawing, then you add some stipple if you need it, and accent line if you need it. So accent line, the line you use to draw your drawing, to plan your drawing, that's really not accent line. Accent line is beautiful lines you add at the end of your drawing. So this sequence is almost the complete reverse of what you see here. I'm going to talk you through a drawing. My plan is right now, I don't know how long it's going to take me, so I'm going to try and add to the video and put it in at the end a little more finished. So first of all, in moving these away, I chose, moving this extra paper away, I chose 3 leaves to draw, and I want you to see how I made my arrangement. So remember that things are, we want to direct people around, and see how I've kind of gently had some things directing you. This leaf, for instance, this set of 5, I arranged them this way, turn them upside down because it works better for my composition. Now I've directed it back towards here. I try to make a dynamic space there instead of like too much space here. So here, see those 2 points, a little bit dynamic right there. I went ahead and let those 2 overlap. I thought that would be interesting. See, my negative space comes in. This one goes here, but then it comes back. So I'm trying to give you some type of a movement. And then in the drawing, maybe this one's darker, so it has a potential for being a center of interest, or probably this area right here. So that's my composition. So I didn't just put them there. I arranged them. I played with them a couple of minutes. And now I'm going to draw it a little bit larger so it fills up my page. This is too small. It looks unimportant, but if I make it larger, it'll look more important. So I'm trying to see how I can get this all on the camera at the same time. I'm left-handed, so let me turn this a little bit like that. There we go, to try and see if I can get it all there. So, and I'm going to move it just a little closer to myself. Sorry. Trying to optimize this whole situation. So here we go. So to draw this out, I'm going to use a light drawing with my pencil. So how do I start a drawing? About how big is it? About where does it go? So I'm drawing, here's maybe my first leaf here. Here's maybe my second leaf here. Remember, I can change things. This is just the beginning. Maybe I wanted this kind of close. Maybe my third section of leaves here. Now see how this spacing is not nice. So I would probably move this over a little bit more. Gonna get rid of that. I used really light lines, so it's okay that I'm erasing things. I didn't do that on purpose, by the way. I just did it. So I just want you to know I'm an artist too. I figure things out as I go as well. And you know, always trying to make your best composition. So this grouping is going to be right here. Kind of like that. I can look at my negative space. Is my negative space about the same? See this shape in here? And I'm drawing this. And this can help me put in my drawing as well. So I'm letting that help me place the objects. So right now I'm doing a little refining, trying to get my shapes a little bit more realistic. Looking kind of at the outside shapes, perfecting them. You can see some extra lines here and there that I've drawn that I don't need after all. If you think about it, how unlikely is it that the first time you draw something, it'll be exactly the right length, at exactly the right angle, with exactly the right curve. You know, it's much more possible that your initial line is not correct. So I would say be very open to, see I had it pointing the other way, I really wanted it turned in. I'm, you know, just kind of refining. If I don't take the time to do this now, you know, first of all, it's gonna, I might do all kinds of details and then discover my composition is not really what I wanted it to be. This comes over a little bit more, but you know what I'm gonna do? Leaves are a little more graceful. I'm gonna change that and curve it just a little bit more. I think it looks a whole lot better. No one's gonna know, by the way, when you turn in your drawing, I'm not gonna know if you curve it. I'm gonna make this slightly more curved as well. So here I have, it sits here a little bigger on the page. I have a little more space here on the bottom, but that's okay, top to bottom. It's better if I do have these two sides. So I need to leave this, move this one leaf over one more time so that these two spaces are about the same. Top and bottom, it's kind of nice to have a little more here. It's going to feel a little lighter on the page. I'm okay with that spacing. So here we go. Right now I'm just using a 2H pencil because I don't want it to, I don't want the lines too dark. And then I'm kind of working on that one a little bit. This here is definitely down a little bit more. This is a little bit more here. Kind of curls up. This is still, these are not perfectly placed yet, but you get the kind of idea. And see this little line right here? I'm going to go ahead and turn that too and get that to help with what I want it to do. So this leaf here has a little bit more turn. And that looks better as well. So now I have the basics of a drawing. I can start. So I have my basic techniques. How am I going to use them? I can use smudge. I think smudge might look really nice on this one because it has kind of a silky soft look to it. So I could start adding a base values. How light or dark is this particular one? I'm just using the side of my pencil and starting to put that in. So first thing you would probably do are some lights and darks. This up here. You might even change up some of the outside shapes of some of these things. But right now I'm looking for kind of the patterns of the lights and darks, how this is all kind of coming in together. You can see that leaf in between there. And how I'm getting this started here, and this is curled up here a little bit. This is dark. I'm going to use my blending stick in just a second. See, I changed that line again. Now, some of you might want more control. It drive you nuts to be slightly messy. I'm going to make this larger so you can see it. Maybe that's too sort of messy for some of you, but I just want to suggest to you that you don't have to be completely specific your first time through, and it's probably not going to be correct your first time through. And I don't even have to erase everything perfectly. If a little bit of this shows, it shows that an artist was here working on the assignment. So now I can use my blender and I can go in. Remember using the side of it. I'm just looking for lights and darks right now. On some of these, this one's here. This I do want darker. I'll have to go into that a couple times. This is a little bit in the wrong location still, so I'm going to change that up a little bit. I think this leaf is maybe drawn it a little bit large. I can tell some things I'm going to want them to be darker. Like I said, this was kind of dark. But because I'm starting to add a texture here, so as far as these leaves go, I'll do something like this throughout them. Let's say I wanted to just kind of complete and work on this particular leaf here. So let's just work on just this one. So what do I need to do to make it look more complete? First of all, I'm going to go in and refine some of this even more. I'm going to work on the edge and make the edge a little bit more refined, a little bit more specific. I can see, so I'm kind of using tonal on top of my smudging. Working in a 2B pencil right now, you can see it's pretty dark. And I'm drawing much more specifically. I'm leaving the leaf kind of white where it's white. So between the smudging, trying to leave some of those white-ish lines in there. And then gets darker down here again. And especially dark here on this edge. So I'm going back into my pencil drawing and doing a little bit of refining. So I'm direct drawing on top of smudging. And that's how I'm trying to get the texture of that particular drawing. Now if I wanted to go back in, so I'm focusing on this one, if I wanted to go back in, I would probably sharpen my pencil a bit. Kind of near the end of that particular piece, add some accent line to kind of firm that up. There's really not much accent line on top of it. I would maybe go along at least one of the edges and kind of show that off a little bit. But maybe not all the way around so it doesn't look too outlined. So let's say this one is near being done, this particular leaf. And I could do that to the other leaves as well. I'll show you a little bit larger. And then by the time they're all done to some extent, it's going to look more realistic. Now this one over here, I would maybe approach a different way. This one here, I would probably start with some hatching and cross hatching. I'm just using my 2B directly this time. Let's say I decided, you know, it's a lot darker, it has a lot more texture to it. And it's kind of dry and crackly. So I might even blend this with the blender because I'm letting you do that, but I'm going to fill this in. I'm going to let some of the lines show. And let some of these lines show a little bit. And some are lighter, some are darker. So I'm a much more loose approach here, and I want it to look kind of more, I guess you could say, rugged. So it's not like I have to approach everything the way I approached my first one. And a little bit of a looser drawing. Okay, this is down here like this. Another dark area here. Kind of hatching, kind of doing a kind of aggressive tonal approach. I'm going to use a little bit of smudging here and there at this point in the drawing, but I want some of those rough lines to show, because I want it to show it has a different texture. This one is smooth, this one's not. So the idea I'm trying to get through here is that you approach each one differently depending on what you're drawing, which of your materials do you need to use. It's not quite looking leaf-like yet, and then decide how best to do it, and then kind of layer it. Like this one, eventually, like I said, I'm purposely letting lines show because I want it to look rougher. There's a lot of areas I could add stippling to this one. I don't know how much I'm going to add, but where this one, it didn't have dots at all, so it doesn't need or want any stippling. So that's even an indication that stippling kind of lives here, along with other things that live here. I can include stippling. I can darken up some areas, like it's really dark right here, for instance. And I'm probably going to go back through my drawing, purposely letting my lines show because I want it to look rough, and trying to make it slowly develop in a more realistic way. So that's how I would approach this one, letting my hatching show, letting it be a little rougher, and then contrasting the different drawing styles between the two. And then I would just keep drawing and drawing. This needs to get a lot darker. The value's pretty dark. The green's pretty dark too, but if you compare them to each other, this one's still darker. And you can see on the leaf itself some spottiness and some lights and darks. So I'm trying to work those in. And it's going to get pretty realistic looking after a while. So I can use a lot of different techniques in that one, letting it all show because I want you to feel that it's a kind of a rough leaf. This one here got a couple things going on. You have some delicate areas. You have this beautiful little crackly thing here. You have a major line through the middle, but it's white, so I have to try not to draw it. I'm in my 2B again. Like I said, I just have a strong personal preference for the 2B pencil, but you don't. It's really up to you. You could start, normally maybe you should start with the 2H. What I would probably do next, I'm not going to do smudging on it. Well, I can because you see all the smooth areas, but I would probably go ahead and draw this funny looking green, whatever it is, splotch in the middle. See how I'm going through? And it's not exactly how it looks on the leaf. In fact, I'm making some decisions. Like I wanted to make sure there was no good overlap there. Making some changes to it as I put it in. And this is all green here. So as far as this green blob, I need to draw in the direction of the leaf. I'm going to put this in, so over on this side, maybe I'll draw in this direction. Even the direction of your pencil is going to help you. I'm not really doing a hatch because I am leaving my pencil down while I'm drawing this. So, but I'm kind of going in the direction that I see the plant going. It's darker in some areas than others. I want to start getting that nice darker value going. In this spot, it has a really distinct edge to it, so it's okay that I outline, as long as I get over to my outline and kind of get that line to disappear. By the way, if you have a line and you don't want it to show, I'm doing that right now. Let's say here's a line. You just decide which way I'm going to take that line. Do things end at this side of that line or this side of the line? So you're just basically fading out the line one way or the other. You see how I'm kind of losing my line in here? Just decide which side of the line you're fading away from. This is not part of my drawing. Anyway, so this is how I would proceed with this one. I would add some shading to it, and then I probably, it's just kind of a light, very light color here, but I would go over my, make sure I end up with kind of a pretty accent line here on the side, and add some values and go back and forth. So this is, I started my drawing pretty well. I'm going to stop the video. It's starting to get too long. So it's only 20 minutes though, and I think to do a nice job on this project, you're going to take you 45 minutes, and I tend to draw fast. Some of you will be more refined than me, but I wanted you to see how I started drawing. I'll work on it some more and then add that to the drawing. Thank you. I'll add that to the video. I'll show you how far I got. Okay, I've been working on my drawing a little bit longer. I went ahead and added this value in here for the green, and I even used a little 2H in there to darken that just a little bit, and added some accent line. I used my kneaded eraser and added a little highlight here, and then I drew over it so it didn't look too like blobbish. I switched from stippling to scumbling. I really wanted it to look like it had a rougher texture there, so I kind of worked on that one a little more. I could probably even go back in. I worked another, say, 15 minutes on that. I just wanted you to know how long I'm spending on this drawing, so another 15 minutes. And then here over on this side, I decided it looked kind of cool if I kind of focused on some of the leaves, but not so much on some of the others. I let them fade out a little bit, and you can certainly do that. So I'm getting what I wanted. I kind of wanted that motion like this. This is pretty strong over here, and so in fact, this supposed to be a little dark. I don't know if I want this as dark as it can be, because it might even be too strong, so this kind of really textured one is already getting a lot of attention visually, so that's why I kind of don't want to work on it anymore. I would, if I spent more time here, maybe a tiny bit over here, but kind of you get the idea. If what you can do, you just layer the techniques, use whatever technique you want. I think I've used all of them, because I did scumbles, tonals, smudge. This one I really didn't ever smudge. I just kept drawing it in. Lots of hatching in this one. You can see I like doing hatch. I hatched all the time. And anyway, accent lines definitely here and there. So this is how it works. And then you look carefully, you look, and decide how you're going to draw things and pull things off. So this is how Mrs. Rouse's drawing came out. So let me see how yours came out. I'm going to have you do a slideshow this time. Okay, recognize when you hand it in, you'll be adding it to a slideshow. Recognize that you will be, this is your first kind of realistic drawing. So some people in class will have drawn some more than others. Some people will have spent more time than others. So please don't be intimidated, but it's a starting point. If you were all here in the classroom, of course, you would have seen each other's drawings anyway. So go ahead and post your drawing. Work your lights and darks. If you're not used to shading, that's okay. Just if you see something that's darker, draw it darker. If you see something lighter, draw it lighter. Try not to overthink it. When you've spent plenty of time on it, just stop. Okay, I'm done. You just at some point stop, and you can see I have extra lines here and there on the paper. Actually, it's a little hard to see even there. So I cleaned it up somewhat. It doesn't have to be 100% everything everywhere. Okay, that's the video. I'm going to try attaching these two videos. We'll see how that goes. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and like I said, we won't do it too often.